Oh, hi. I did not see you there. I was just admiring this new product. I wasn't. It was just a phone. That's where advertisers come in, and then I'll be like, "Oh, I love this product that you have given me to try out. It is a salt and pepper shaker. It is wonderful. I'm open for ads, baby. I'm good at them too. You just saw that. I was looking for something else, but I got nothing. Look at this old crazy girl back here. Look at it right now. She could be ticklish. Tickle her neck. All right, so this is. I'm sorry. It's been a good morning. So this is part four for Dr. Roy. It's a Casa Grande. This is the Crusades.
And they did that with Syria. They just chopped off the northern part and gave it to Turkey. So Basil II is recarving the Roman Empire, but at the same time, there's all these forces pushing back, and everybody's using Normans as mercenaries. That must have been awkward. Like, you see your cousin on the other side. How much are you getting paid? And then you fight for a little while. I'll pretend to kill you, okay? Don't swing at me. What eventually happens is those Normans go, why are we fighting for these other guys? And in 1030, the first Norman gets made a lord in southern Italy. And he slowly starts to conquer. And subsequent generations of Normans start to take pieces of southern Italy. And in 1061, the Normans are getting on ships and they're crossing over to Sicily and they begin conquering Sicily. Sicily had been conquered by the Arabs 2 centuries earlier. The Normans also start getting hired by the Roman Empire in Anatolia because they're being used to fight the Seljuks, who are coming west and fighting their way into Anatolia. And so the Romans are using these Norman mercenaries. I showed you the coin of Romanus IV. In 1071, Romanus IV has an army at a place called Manzikert, and they fight a battle against the Seljuks, and they're defeated. The Romans are defeated. The Normans take off after they were defeated. They just move out of the way. But the Romans get captured, including Romanus IV. He was taken. The Seljuks offered a ransom. The Romans are like, no, we don't ransom back, losers. And they replaced him. The reason that mattered was the Norman commander, Roussel de Bailleul, decides he's going to do in Anatolia, in the middle of Turkey, by the way, Galatia. So right in the New Testament, Galatians, those are the letters that Paul writes to the Celts living in what is today Turkey. Galatia, that. He decides he's going to carve out a little kingdom for himself in Galatia. And the Normans go on a conquering spree, and they make Ankara, the capital of a Norman kingdom in the middle of Turkey. There are French-speaking Vikings ruling the middle of Turkey, which is historically populated by Celts. You know, kilt-wearing, bagpipe-playing Celts. Because everything is actually intermingled and there's no boundaries. And the next thing you know, the Roman emperor is actually turning to the Seljuks and going, dude, can you help us with this guy? And the Seljuk, the ruler, the Sultan, the Sultanate of Rome. That's what they called themselves. Their flag was a two-headed eagle. The Roman flag was a two-headed eagle. Because when Emperor Romulus Augustus takes off his purple robes and sends it to Emperor Zeno, they've now unified the West and the East. They only have one emperor, so the new symbol for the Roman Empire is an eagle with two heads, one facing left, one facing right. Well, the Seljuks in Anatolia take that as their flag because their goal isn't to destroy the Roman Empire, It's to make a Muslim Roman Empire. Their goal is to eventually capture Constantinople one day. They don't hate the Roman Empire, they admire the Roman Empire, they want to be the Roman Empire. And so, Suleiman I, the Sultan of the Seljuk Sultanate of Rome, gets a request from the emperor, the Roman emperor, to go put down this Norman uprising. And he's like baffled out of his mind, but yeah, sure, I'll help you. And in 1077, that Norman little kingdom vanishes. In 1084, the Pope asks for an army to attack Spain. Spain was, at that time, majority controlled by Muslims. The furthest north city that the Muslims owned in 1084 was a city called Barbastro. And so the Pope asks for a Christian army to go to Barbastro and take it. 1/4 of that army was a group of Normans. When they capture the city, at first they're pillaging it, they're slaughtering people, but the Normans decide they like the place and they stay, and the majority of the population is still Arab and it's still Muslim, and the Normans who stay start dressing like the Arabs and they learn Arabic, and they're really digging Arab society, and they go Indian, right? They go native. And it shocks everybody because it's like, wait, these French-speaking, blue-eyed, blonde Vikings are in Spain learning Muslim culture. And in a way, when you think about it, all three of these events that I just described are like little precursor crusades. In 1095, the Pope holds 2 conventions. I think both of them were in November. And Alexius Komnenos, Alexius I, the Roman Emperor, comes to Italy. And this isn't a small thing, because Italy isn't Roman. In fact, the Pope in Rome and the Roman Empire have had a falling out that has lasted centuries, and they hate each other's guts a lot, not a little bit, a lot. So what happened was, as the Roman Empire...
There is so much that goes on, and it's so much petty fighting, and then so much mixing of Vikings here, Celts here, that we look at it now and we're like, I don't think they'd be there. I would never have thought any of that. Vikings going rogue and just deciding, we're going to live here now, and just being in an area that completely does not seem to suit them, or they don't seem to fit in. You know, like they're the extremely tall person living among shorter people. You know what I mean? They're the ones that just stick out. This guy's great. I'm sorry. I also had to pause it because I've just been enjoying the video for 8 minutes, and so I had to pause it, or 6 minutes, whatever it was. I don't do times.
Was disintegrating. They managed to hold on to pieces of Italy, including the city of Rome. But the Pope in Rome didn't like that, because the original church had 5 patriarchs. So the Orthodox Catholic Church, Orthodox is truth, Catholic is universal. So the Universal Truth Church, that was the original name of the Christian church. It had already had a schism. The Copts in Egypt had broken away in 284. But in the 700s, the church was still unified. But the Pope in Rome came to resent the circumstances, because the 5 patriarchs were the Pope in Rome, the Pope in Alexandria, the Patriarch of Antioch, and the Patriarch of Constantinople, and the Archbishop of Jerusalem. In other words, the original Christian church had 5 heads. 2 popes, 2 patriarchs, and an archbishop. By the way, Pope came from, the Pope would have his child on his knee, and then people would come to kiss his ring, and they would hear the child saying, "Papa, Papa," and that just stuck. Do you want me to say that again? The Pope would have his child on his knee. You know, his kid. Because the original Catholic Church didn't have a celibacy thing. They did the celibacy thing later so that they could make sure that the clergy didn't pass churches and church property down in their wills, and illegitimate children in Europe couldn't inherit. So that's why that happened. It wasn't to stop the popes from having babies, it was to stop the popes from having legitimate babies. It wasn't to stop the clergy from having families, it's just to stop the clergy from having legitimate families so they couldn't pass on church land. So anyway, in 750,
I would have never believed that was the reason why. Yeah, I'm passing down this church and every church associated with this church because my daddy was the Pope. Like, what are you talking about? I didn't even think about the kid. Papa. Now that one seems weird. To call someone Pope because the kid would say Papa. Unless he would say Popo. No, that's a police. Popey? Poppy? Is it Poppy? Poppy, is that Spanish? That could be.
6, the Pope in Rome is sick of the fact that he's kind of second fiddle. He wants to be first fiddle. After all, it's Rome, and it's Roman Empire. So he goes and he makes a deal with the Franks, and they break Rome out of the Roman Empire. It's Pope Stephen II who does this in 756. 763, Naples was still in the Roman Empire. Duke Stephen II, two different guys, same name. This makes it easy to remember. 763, Naples breaks out of the Roman Empire and joins the Pope in creating this papal state thing. Naples is never part of the papal states, but the idea that it's now going to be a separate thing from the Roman Empire, it breaks away. And the animosity between Rome and Constantinople just keeps growing and growing and growing until 1058. In 1058, they get into a spat that's so bitter and so nasty, they start to excommunicate each other. The Patriarch of Constantinople excommunicates the Pope excommunicates the Patriarch. Next thing you know, they're interdicting. Interdicting is when you excommunicate whole cities, and there are whole countries, whole regions, whole provinces. They start interdicting each other, and before they're done, Western Europe has completely interdicted Eastern Europe, and Eastern Europe has completely interdicted Western Europe, and the East took the truth, and the West took the universe, and that's why there's a Catholic Church, a Roman Catholic Church, and a Greek Orthodox Church. So when Alexius Komnenos goes to Italy in 1095, it's 37 years after they had just done this to each other. So the wounds are raw, they're fresh. And the reason Alexius Komnenos is there is he says, we're not making it. The Sultanate of Rome has just taken almost all of Anatolia. We maybe have 10% of it left. We're finished to the east, which means all we have is a little piece of southeastern Europe. We need your help. And Pope Urban II goes, you know what we should do? We shouldn't just help you a little bit. We should go all out. Let's retake the Holy Land and put it back in the Roman Empire. And Alexius Komnenos goes, yeah, why not? Let's do it. Let's make this happen. And so Pope Urban II comes out of those two talks, meeting with these top officials, including the Roman Emperor, and says, I want an army to go to Jerusalem. We're going to conquer all of that and put it back in the Roman Empire. Let's go. 1096, a guy named Peter the Hermit gets up in front of everybody and says, we heard the Pope loud and clear. Let's do this. And he puts together what's called the People's Crusade. It's basically just a bunch of peasants, some knights. It's not the mercenary soldiers. It's not the knight. It's not all knights, right? It's just some peasants. They turn into a mob. And the first thing they do to sanctify the Crusades, this holy religious war, is they attack the Jews living in Germany. And the estimate is they murder about 2,000 Jews, and then they rape like 7,000 more Jews. And then they leave Germany on their way to the Holy Land I missed something. I feel like they read a piece of the New Testament that what? Where does it say that? Before thou goest on the crusade, holiest of holy, do what Jesus would have you do, slaughter Jews in Germany. And that is the first pogrom. That is the first documented case where Europeans, specifically post-Roman Empire, the Roman Empire hated Jews. Just like it was a hobby for them. But they mostly did it in Palestine, right? It was just, the Jews again, they keep throwing rocks at us. That's going to be ironic in a few centuries. So that's the first pogrom, 1096. That army works its way all the way to Constantinople. When it gets to Constantinople, they've been raiding the whole way because they need to feed themselves. So they're sacking villages, they're tearing into people's food stores. It's a disaster. It's a raiding mob. It shows up at Constantinople. Alexius Komnenos is like, I got to get rid of these guys as fast as I can. He goes, you know what you got to do? You got to cross the Bosporus. Here's my fleet. He puts them on a ship and he sends them across the Bosporus and they set up a camp. They actually attack a town. They capture it. And he's like, I'll send you food. You just stay on your side of the Bosporus. This is going to work out great. In the meantime, he's actually calling the Turks on the phone. Hey, there's some crazy dudes. I just deposited them on your end. Good luck with that. The guy who's now the son of Suleiman I, his name is Khalid Arslan. He decides he's got to get rid of these guys. And they want to take Nicaea. So Nicaea is pronounced Nicaea. I'm going to not say Nicaea again for the rest of the lecture. It drives me nuts. It's like Julius Caesar is Gaius Julius Caesar. Stop saying Julius Caesar. I feel like it.
I'm going to stop it there because I was going to hold on so he could finish the point, but he kind of rambles a little bit, and that's okay. I do too. So I might go back to the hour mark or just before, probably to about here, where he's going to start picking up to talk about this. And we will we'll restart it there for the fifth part. You can excuse me, you can donate to the channel on the thanks button. All donations are appreciated. Notice it was ad-free. I had to get YouTube Premium. Too many complaints. So I did it for you. And for me too, because, when I watch stuff, I don't have to deal with ads now. So, kind of was for me as well. There is the subscribe button. You should click it. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and click it now. I'll wait. All right. Give it a thumbs up, because if you don't want to donate, a thumbs up actually helps tremendously, because it does tell YouTube that I'm not worthless and I'm not stupid. I made this short where I went to William Tecumseh Sherman's grave and just basically telling about him and showing his grave, and I got thumbs downs on those. And I'm like, you're thumbs downing the information? You're thumbs downing the person? What are you putting a thumbs down to? Because if you don't like William Tecumseh Sherman and you give a thumbs down, that thumbs down affects me. It doesn't affect him. If you don't like him, don't watch the video. That makes sense? I don't watch videos of like hyenas and dolphins having sex. It's not my thing. And if I see it, I don't give a thumbs down to it. I just avoid it. It's a common thing. Happens all the time. So until next time, you have a good day. Have a good